welcome to Chattanooga 262's Let's Play. Today we will be playing Factorio. This is episode 4 of the series. First thing we're going to start out with today is mods. Last time, you may have noticed in the last 2 episodes, I was having a little bit of trouble with the trees, and also the light at night is horrible for recording. So we're going to be turning on a couple of different mods. Now, mods have become a lot easier to integrate into the game as of the 13 update. As you can see, with the 13 update compared to the 12, if you're playing on that, you actually get a install mods, a check for updates, update mods screen, and it lists all your mods out. The old way was a major pain in the butt when you were going in, and it could be very confusing if you had the wrong folder. So to install mods, you just click install mods. It'll bring up a list, and you have a search box. So I'm going to search for a light mod. This is the one that I use. I just search light, go down, and you have all your different light mods. I use the more light mod. This one basically gives me a cone that you'll see later around my character. Now I'm going to go back here. Since I already have it installed, I don't need to reinstall it, so we just press back. And to toggle these on and off, you just click on it, hit toggle. I don't know why those are showing up yellow right now. I think it's actually a version update or something, since I just recently updated. But you see me toggle on more light, the clock module, which shows what's the in-game time. I don't toggle autofill. I usually use that one though. It just makes gameplay easier for me, especially when I'm turret creeping on bases, which you'll see later and how difficult it is. Also turn on tree collision because that was the major pain in the ass earlier. Alright, and when you hit the back button, Factorio will actually restart the game for you so that you don't have to exit out and exit back in. Just hit that back button and go. Now, starting out and recapping on the last episode, we had done a quick red science production, and I have obviously expanded that off camera in the last episode. So I usually set up with 10 to 20 labs. It really just depends what kind of game I want to play, honestly. With this one being a little bit more relaxed in our first Let's Play series, went with 10 labs instead. It'll slow it down a little bit. That means I will probably be doing some off-camera work and research. Just showing you the tree mod here, you can notice that I am not colliding with trees and I can actually walk through the forest now. This is super, super helpful when you're running away from biters because they will chase your butt through the forest and then you're caught. As you can see, I went ahead and upgraded some of the mining drills a little bit so that we had more production coming in. And then you can see iron production we got set up last episode, as well as copper production. You'll also notice I did expand the red science labs. It's basically just a bigger version. I like setting mine up in a wheel like this because once you set up with advanced assemblers, the speed of the science creation actually gets a lot faster, especially once you put modules in that later on. But 2 gear factories are definitely enough for the 6 science labs. And with 10 labs, I'm probably going to build up way too much red science. As you see here, I cut the power so I wouldn't be researching off screen, so I can walk y'all through this pretty much. And I did set it up on a 2-belt system. This is my normal setup for this. This allows me to put science wherever I want on these belts, and I can use underground belts and splitters and stuff to get it on, as you see with the red science there. The reason for this, that gives you 4 spots to put science. As you notice, I'm only putting red science on the inside. Green usually goes out on the outside of the inner ring, and then purple science I put on the inside of the outside one, and then I put blue science on the outer ring of that just because it's easier to map in overall. Now when you're choosing a spot for this, you really want to choose an open area where later on in your factory you're going to be able to get your science belts too, or you could go with the logistic spot way later on, and we'll get into that. I like playing with logistic spots, so that'll be something we'll definitely go into in greater depth as for this episode. As you can see, steel processing is what we're researching right now. I'm just looking through the technologies real quick, seeing what's going to unlock, how I want to go with this. So steel just finished. This unlocks a couple of more things. Advanced material processing, probably going to be one of the first three green researches we do after we get green science. Much for the fact that the crafting speed is doubled on those from stone furnaces. But you'll notice we will need stone bricks and steel, so that's why we got the steel production. You can see in the top it tells you how long per lab it takes you to research that science, and if it's going to take 1, 2, sometimes even 4 sciences of a kind times the modifier. So this one would take 10 red sciences total. Now if the red science had a little 2, it would actually take 20. On some technologies you'll notice that it does that. Now, with armor, I usually will research the first one to get the second one unlocked, and you'll notice this one goes really fast. It's 10 science. I usually just go straight for the second armor, though, just because of the crafting cost. The first one, it's basic armor, but the real difference early on is definitely going to be that steel armor that you're going to get. So I just usually unlock that. It takes 50 steel, 100 copper. Really easy to get once you get that steel smelting set up. If you wanted to do a small setup to start with, that's your personal choice, but I prefer these bigger setups that are very expandable, usually because later on in the game you're either going to have to move your entire production of iron and whatnot. Now I start setting up the steel here, and you'll notice I make a few mistakes on screen. I start placing without counting anything. You'll see me tear it up, and research keeps interrupting me while I'm doing this. It's a basic setup for furnacing. This one I did a little different than the copper and the iron furnacing, just for the fact I usually don't like steel production as fast as iron, and if I run out of iron, I don't want all of my furnaces firing. That way more iron's getting on my main belt line. So in this one, I'll actually be running a production belt up the center of it with a coal and half iron split, and I'll show you how to do that. It's pretty simple, honestly. It just involves underground belts and splitters as usual. You'll notice I did kind of that on the iron belt and the copper belts where they join up, and I'll be doing the same with the steel. That way both sides of the belt are balanced at all times. Now, going into research, I am looking around, kind of showing you things as I go into the research. I'm doing electronics because that unlocks the second automation, which you will need pretty early on for the secondary factories. Now, sorry about that. You'll need those early on for the secondary factories, just because to get green science going, you're going to need 3 parts to build the inserters. And honestly, green science is really simple once it gets down to it, and I simplify that up, and you'll be able to see that in the next episode when we do green science production and electronics production. But still setting up steel furnaces, again, I'm doing it the same exact way. You'll notice I go for that automation too, for that assembling machine too. You'll notice that the crafting speed is 25% faster. It's still slower than your character, but honestly, who wants to be crafting in their inventory all the time? It takes insane amounts of time, it's not efficient, and you're having to craft every single part leading up to that. So I start getting automation 2 researched, and then we go back to steel production. You'll notice I'm not really being sparing with the power poles. Honestly, this early game I just kind of spam power poles. It's never clean. I can never get these power poles to look good. I usually, in late games, I will end up putting substations everywhere, and we'll get to that a little later. That's more into green research, so after we get that green research going, you'll definitely be seeing a lot more of those and a lot more of the long power poles and substations. Now, I actually decide to change up the belts a little bit and run this down. I changed it because I noticed after I placed all the furnaces and all the belts and everything that there was no room to run steel up. And you'll notice the way this is set up, It will feed onto the one side, and then the other side will actually be on the other side of the belt, so it ends up evening out, putting it on one belt. Now, just looking through science again, early science with red is super easy to research. Honestly, it takes no time at all with 10 labs. Kind of overkill. You can do most of these if you just want to set up a simple factory and kind of play as you go when you're first starting out. That is not a problem at all. Um, they don't take long. Uh, First military research you're going to come across is going to give you the submachine gun, the shotgun, and shotgun shells. Now, I usually don't build a shotgun until I have piercing shotgun shells. Reason being, you get very limited shots out of the regular pump shotgun. It's super slow, and the damage is horrible on those T1 shotgun shells. The piercing ones, they have armor piercing damage, they have more damage, and then later on we'll unlock the pump shotgun to go with that, and the fire rate is just dramatically increased. You're just like a walking submachine gun, but with shotgun shells, basically. You'll also notice that military technology is only unlocking the submachine gun. It doesn't unlock better bullets yet. Going back into it with bullets, piercing rounds magazines, I recommend building only these. I don't like building regular ammo. I hate it, honestly. Piercing rounds, again, piercing damage. They do more actual physical damage. Same magazine size, though. These in a submachine gun are going to be your early way of taking down bases. This is your way to go. I honestly recommend skip over regular ammo production unless you're in that dire strait where you need ammo now, and you have aliens creeping in on you. But this is again why I went with a big start area, so we weren't dealing with that right on the onset, and I could actually focus on playing the game a little bit more to show you the ropes. Now I'm just going through technologies here a little bit. Um, we at and Also on that military technology, you have grenades. These are great early forest clearers. Back to technologies a little bit. I'm showing the different shotgun shells shooting speed, bullet shooting speed, and whatnot. These are going to be great if you use turrets for most of the game, which is normally what I do. I don't get into lasers until my entire power network can sustain the lasers for extended periods of time. This being, guns are great early game. They offer solid defense. You can turret creep with them. Um, but you'll notice later on in the game as the biters get bigger from the pollution that you're going to have some problems taking them down unless you have mass hordes of turrets. And we'll be getting more into that in the next episode. So again, just hold off on that and we'll be getting into it next time. As you can see, we go back into steel research for our steel production for a little bit and then jump right back into research again. I'm looking at things, deciding kind of where I want to go with this game, sifting through them so you can see them a little bit. For this episode, I mainly just stick with the bullet damages and shooting speeds because I'm going to need all this stuff next episode. And I focus on like walls and mainly the bullet damage early on, not necessarily the shooting speed, although it does help quite a bit early on when you're taking on bases by yourself. But for your defenses wise, that bullet damage and the shooting speed both apply to the turrets, and then there is also a third research for the turret damage. This buffs the turrets a lot late game if you get these fully researched and everything. Really helps out later on. As you can see with the steel, I did just put those onto a single belt. This is just gonna, again, so I'm not using all the furnaces if I run out of iron production. Um, I Iron, probably gonna run into that problem a lot later game. Unless I expand this iron facility. I might do that in the next half episode or in between episodes kind of thing. Um, I haven't really decided whether or not to post that yet, though. It's going to be more of a speed run if I do that with a little bit of voiceover production setup, I'm going to start talking about inserters a little bit. So there are, I think, 8 types of inserters, if I remember correctly. I'll check here in a moment. I can't quite remember at this time. But first, you got your burner inserters. I rarely use those. If anything, I only use them on power production. And you see, I start walking down there, and then I'm like, wait, our power production's really far away. I don't want to do that right now because I am a lazy person. So burner inserters, they burn fuel for energy. These are great for defenses if you don't want them relying on your power system. Uh, that mainly being the case with if you have a frontline defense, it's really far from your power system, and you just don't want to route power out there, or you want very little power use at like a mining installation. Your next ones up are going to be inserters. These run on electricity. These are the base ones that you start with. They're pretty good starting off. They're really slow though compared to the next up inserter, the fast inserters. And as you see, I'm making some of those kind of to demonstrate for you the speed of these. I believe they are either 2.5 times as fast or 2 times as fast. And once you get those stack bonuses on them, honestly, these are going to be my go-to. I'm going to end up replacing most of the factory with them. As you can see, when it does that one throws 3 in the machine before the one even reaches it. This is great if you want to limit and throttle production. You can actually switch between the regular inserters and the fast inserters, and that keeps it kind of easy so that you're not having to mess with, oh, I don't want as many of these being produced. But I need more gears for my science, so I'm going to speed up how fast I put iron into that. Oh, I need to slow it down again, just put a regular inserter. And a lot of that could be fixed with the logic system. I haven't really experimented with that yet, and that'll be a late episode. Filter inserters are really nice. I use these, and we're probably going to end up using these in this series because, as you saw in the past couple episodes, I have a couple deposits of different ores within a mining drill's radius, and I don't really feel like messing with the radiuses sometimes. So I will put filter inserters on the belt and just have them collect whatever ore into a box. Usually by the time I'm mining those, I have logistics bots to do this for me. But we'll get back into that a little later. Now, long handle inserters have the longest reach. They can actually pull from 2 tiles away from them and place 2 tiles away from them. This is great for factories where you need to put something on a second belt out there, or if you're reaching, if you need to reach that 3 gap distance and you just can't fit a belt in or something, or you can't split it, you can't get it underground. That's an alternate mean. You'll notice later on when we get into production and I'm having to use the long-handled inserters, you'll notice that they're as fast as the regular inserters, and this is really something I don't like. I really wish there was a long-handled fast inserter, but I kind of get why they didn't go there. But like on my red science factories later on, I will probably upgrade to 2, depending on what modules I end up putting in there. That's mainly just because if I put all speed modules or all productivity modules in there, I'm probably going to need to have a faster pull ratio on that. No, I'm pulling this up because I don't have them researched yet. But the let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 7 inserters. So stack inserters are going to be the newest addition to the game. These are the replacement for smart inserters. They have the same color and everything. Smart inserters do what the filter inserters do now, the purple ones. But these green stack inserters, they actually pick up a stack of, I think their base starts at 5, and with all the upgrades, it goes up to 13 at the end of it. So you're moving a lot of material really fast, and I'll use these later in the game on my train stations once we get into trains a little bit. And that's mainly used to pull as much stuff out as we can in the fastest time possible, because they actually end up outclassing fast inserters a little bit later in the game. I don't remember quite what I was doing here. I think I was showing off the tank or something, but we'll be getting to that in a later episode with the bigger biter base places, you'll need to focus. And honestly, what really comes down to it in this game is how your start area is. My start area is fairly big. As I said, I put on that bigger starting area just so that I wouldn't have to deal with the biters while I'm setting all this up for you guys. But if you prefer to just go in vanilla, completely vanilla, all normal, be aware that if you spawn in a desert zone or if you don't have a lot of forest around you, those biters will probably start biting you pretty fast there. That's all I have time for today, guys. I'm just finishing up a couple of things here, and I will be ending the episode here pretty shortly. I think I ended up upgrading a couple of the science factories to blue. They just move a little bit faster, and you can put all those parts in them. Just finishing up some research. But that's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Click like, subscribe. Hope you enjoy the rest of my videos. Thanks, guys, and come back and see us.